in terms of things that made me actually feel something, I love The Simpsons as much as the next guy, but Futurama hit more of those targets to make me actually feel emotions than what The Simpsons did.
I feel the same way, man. I feel like The Simpsons were like was a lot of one shot episodes, not really connecting arcs. I'm not the biggest Simpson fan. I get
Hmm.
that, but Futurama seemed to had a story progression of some sort where it felt like The Simpsons is just like another episode. There is no overall arc or story arc
Hmm.
to it. Or I feel like Fry had growth as a character, and certain
Right.
characters changed. And and Futurama was having it placed in the future was able to make some kind of commentary on modern society, where in a way that The Simpsons couldn't per
Right.
se. Like The Simpsons would make commentary on like I don't know, like on celebrities or kind of the fads or the news of the time, while Futurama kind of hit some meta commentary on
The
just
world.
broad on the world on broad subjects more than just like what was big on the news at the time being. And I don't know who's time traveling in The Simpsons to predict so many things in the future, but definitely Futurama seemed to be more
Focus.
focused.
Yes.
Definitely felt more focused than The Simpsons did.
Yeah.
So
I,
yeah.
I agree with that. Like, for example, right? The Simpsons has been on for 32 years, 31 years at this point. Aside from the Simpsons movie that came out in theaters, that's really the furthest outside of the lane that they were in that they tried to extend, right?
Right.
Futurama got canceled. The revival of Futurama was three made for TV movies that were broken up into episodes that
Mm.
was supposed to be more or less the end of the show before it got renewed by Comedy Central. But to this day, there are episodes of Futurama that invoke certain emotions to where when I see it, I feel the same way as I did the first time I seen it.
Mm.
The Simpsons did that, but I feel like they did it in smaller doses, right? With
Right.
Futurama, I feel like the entire intention on what they were doing was to make you feel something when you see it. Whereas The Simpsons kind of dropped gems every now and then. Futurama was an entire, how do I put this? It wasn't a diamond in the rough. Futurama was like an entire gold mine. The way
Mm.
that I'm going to describe that. Futurama was a gold mine, right? The
Right.
Simpsons, the Simpsons was almost like if it wasn't a gold mine, it's almost like too much of a good thing. That's how I'll describe it. Too much of a good thing. The
Okay.
Simpsons is like having dessert every night,
Ah, gotcha.
to where the same thing every night tastes the same every night because you're not thinking about it. The Simpsons definitely had episodes that made you feel things, but you really had to be paying attention in order to in order for that arrow to hit the target. With Futurama, I felt like you always had to be paying attention. There was no wasted motion in what it was that they were trying to accomplish with that particular TV show. They dropped gems throughout the entire series, is what I feel. Like I'm old enough now to where I can admit that, like, for anybody out there, all I'm gonna say, get on YouTube, type in Futurama 30th Century Man, and tell me you don't feel nothing. And type in Luck of the Fryish. Like, I have an older brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, that episode, Luck of the Fryish, is dealing with the relationship that the main character Fry had with his older brother. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Like, there are certain things that you associate with that, and you see it and you feel that, and it doesn't go away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The Simpsons was able to do that, but they spread it out. They did that kind of few and far between because of ratings and because of popularity. So
Right.
yeah,
Futurama hit the target a little bit more than The Simpsons did, just because, like you said, ratings, spacing,
yep,
multiple seasons,
yep,
and while Futurama had a limited, in comparison, a very limited run of episodes, it carried more weight, and they did more with those episodes than The Simpsons did, in my opinion, a stretch of over the stretch of time. I think The Simpsons is kind of like a generational thing too. I think
oh yeah, oh
uh,
yeah, absolutely.
people more of our age kind of gravitate more so towards Futurama rather than the Simpsons. I think the
Yep,
Simpsons a little bit more for those maybe those early '80s kids who grew up on it rather than those '90s kids who, don't
right.
get me wrong. I mean, I had the Simpsons hit and run on PS2,
Oh yeah,
or play the
fire,
Simpsons, yeah, or
fire.
play the Simpsons arcade game or Bart's Revenge or whatever on Sega Genesis. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the Simpsons, but it was almost like Looney Tunes, like you're enjoying a Looney Tunes like episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Like it was
yep,
just the fact that it was The Simpsons and it was entertaining, it was big that you got into it. But Futurama had a little bit more meat on the bones,
yep.
in my opinion. And
No, I agree.
I can marathon Futurama. I can get back in The Simpsons for me and be like, yo, like I need certain episodes to
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yep.
yeah, I can't.
I gotta. Yep, I gotta pick and choose.
Yeah, I just can't get into Simpsons and just binge watch that whole thing. I can't.
I can get into it early, but past after a certain point, it feels like it's a little bit redundant and a little bit watered down.
Right, right. I mean,
I'd rather watch Ed, Ed, and Eddie than watch The Simpsons. Personally, I'd rather watch that.
but yeah, I dig Futurama for what it did and during the time that it came out. It holds up exceptionally well, and it held its ground
Hmm.
against some good competition that was out there during the time. I mean, props to them because they could have just. I mean, they milked the Simpsons enough, and I think Futurama was their outlet to tell the stories they couldn't on the Simpsons.
Absolutely.
I think that was their way to express a little bit more gravitas to their stories and to their
Hmm.
characters.
A little
Than
bit more depth.
yeah,